Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Yesterday, October 28th, 2016, headline in the evening time was a commercial airplane at Chicago O'Hare had caught fire. The right engine caught fire. They had to evacuate the plane. Some people were taken to the hospital. Big news story in the evening time. It was happening the same time the World Series was beginning Game 3 in Chicago, the first Cubs World Series game at home in 71 years. And something I documented on my blog and I want to bring up again is this. The Great Chicago Fire happened October 8th through October 10th of 1871. And think about that date, 10-8, 10/8, a lot like 108. This year, the Cubs are trying to win the World Series for the first time in 108 years. They last won it in 1908. It's been 108 years, 107 seasons. Next year will be 109 years, 108 seasons. 108 is special because Major League in gematria equals 108. There's 108 double stitches on a baseball. And again, Cubs going after this 108-year curse. The Chicago Fire happened October 8th in the year 71. Now think about this. It's been 71 years since the Cubs were in a World Series. This fire yesterday happened on the 71-year anniversary of the Chicago Cubs having an anniversary or having a World Series game in their city the last time. 71 years later. And this fire was in the year 71. Again, the World Series began October 25th, 2016, a date with 71 numerology. The same day the 71st season of the NBA began. The Cavs and Warriors both played on opening day, 2 of the 6 teams to play. Similar scores, the big 3 for the Cavs scored 71 points. The big 3 for the Warriors scored 71 points. Major 71 tribute. The Indians came into this World Series 7-1 in the postseason. John Lester pitched the first games for the Cubs, born January 7th, a date that can be written 7/1, which reminds that October 8th, the date of the fire, can be written 8/10, 8/10. Chicago equals 81 in Jewish gematria. So they say it burned up 3.3 square miles, a lot like 33. They also say it began behind this address, 137. 137. And the reason that's so interesting is because 137 is the 33rd prime number. 33, the number of Freemason obsession. The Freemasons believe in order out of chaos. This fire, it came 37 years before 1908 when the Cubs won their last World Series. 37 is interesting because Chicago equals 37 the small way. So now check this out. Show you the date numerology that the fire ended. It was a date with 37 numerology. The Great Fire ended on a date with October 10th, 1871, a date with 37 numerology. It was also a date with 109 numerology. That has me thinking about the Cubs next year. I said, if the Cubs win the World Series this year, don't be surprised if they win again next year. Also, if they lose this year, don't be surprised there either. The final riddle might be that they win it next year. The Cubs are a young team, a very young World Series team. They're going to be older, more mature next year. They're going to be even better next year. So anyway, 109th year next year, 108 seasons because there was the lockout season in 94. 94 season because the lockout didn't have a championship, no World Series. The Indians were very good that year. The Indians won 94 games this year. That date in history, though, it was also a date with 91 numerology. Chicago Cubs equals 91. Great Chicago Fire, as it's called, has the same gematria as Wrigley Field. Same gematria as Corey Kluber and Josh Tomlin, the first 2 pitchers to pitch against the Cubs in the World Series in Chicago. The Indians pitchers, Game 3, Josh Tomlin. Corey Kluber, Game 4. Josh Tomlin had his father in attendance. Father equals 58. Tomlin threw 58 pitches. Freemasonry and secret society also equals 58. With regards to them saying the fire started at about 9 o'clock, look at Great Chicago Fire in Pythagorean gematria at 90. Reminds you of 9 o'clock. Baseball game, 9 innings. 90 also has that gematria of 33, like masonry, like secrecy. 137, the 33rd prime. Diamond equals 33. We're talking about the baseball parallels, the baseball diamond. What the infield's known as, the diamond. So check this out. Here's what's up with O'Hare. The fire yesterday, game 1 of the first World Series in Chicago, 71 years for the Cubs. 10 plus 28 for October 28th equals 38. So does fire in gematria. Fire in gematria is F is 6, I is 9, R is 18, E is 5. Alphabetic order, add it together, 38. Also a date with 74 numerology, the Masonic numbers. Plane burns on O'Hare Runway. This happened just as the game was kicking off. As I've been saying, there's also parallels between what's going on with Hillary and the Chicago Cubs. Hillary had a bad day in the headlines yesterday with the FBI connecting her to, the now publicized pervert former politician Anthony Weiner. Anthony Weiner with the dick pics. It's such a joke. That's my next video. Anyway. Airplane, which was on fire, equals 40, like Hillary, like email. They have everyone fixated on her email, which is a non-story. We're in a nation with real, serious problems. Hillary Clinton, nothing more than a puppet. They have everyone distracted with her email, like that's even important. People getting played like fools. Rigged sports, rigged elections, people not catching on. United States also equals 40. Remember, when you write out 40 as a word, it sums to 84. United States of America, 84. That headline up here, plane burns on O'Hare Runway, gematria of 111, like New York, like witchcraft, Chicago, New York, the Zionist Meccas, Hillary born in Chicago, New York connections. The name Clinton traces back to the original governors of New York, the 4th vice president to Madison. O'Hare International is the airport's called, gematria of 199 and 91. We talked about 91 in the fire, date numerology. Chicago Cubs equals 91, 199 the 46th prime, Chicago and Chicago Cubs, 46 in gematria. Chicago O'Hare, as it's also called, gematria of 66, connecting to World Series, curse. Curse equals 66. Is the curse still on this year? Is the burnt airplane a sign? Chicago O'Hare, also 93. Cubs clinched the playoffs in their 93rd win, 146th game of the season. Hillary became First Lady in 93. It was a 767 that caught fire. Reminds me of the numbers on Hillary. Cleveland Indians also equals 67. The day before this, it was Mike Pence's plane. Then Mike Pence's plane went off the tracks. Then it was Miami. Later this same day as O'Hare, supposedly a FedEx plane caught fire at Fort Lauderdale, not too far from Miami. Cubs and Indians history with the Miami Marlins. Miami 45, like Mike Pence. Like a race for the 45th president. Illinois equals 45. The name of this witness in the story, gematria of 96 and 42, just like the word Freemason. His full name, Gary Schiavone, gematria of 66, connecting to World Series, 147 connecting to World Series. What are the odds? This is the witness who saw the plane fire breakout that the news talked to. It's because it's all a coded propaganda story. It's all a lie. If you can believe it, they do this stuff on purpose. These people are insane. 744, huh? So some more headlines from this. Engine falls at takeoff at O'Hare. FedEx cargo plane burns at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Notice how these were the top 2 headlines at the same time. Remember, Chicago, NLCS against the Marlins. Steve Bartman, the curse. The last time the Indians were in a World Series, also against the Marlins in 97. The Steve Bartman incident was 2003, 13 years ago. So this plane was Federal Express, which has gematria of 67, like Cleveland Indians. They won the game on this date. Cubs, Indians, ties to the Marlins. 2 plane fires on runways. seemingly as tributes to the World Series that was happening at the same time. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where this happened, also has the gematria of 99, like Illinois, like 13. Another headline, engine fails at takeoff at O'Hare. Gematria of 119, all-seeing eye equals 119, Star of David, master plan. The small way, all-seeing eyes 47, master plan 47, Star of David 47, O'Hare 47, president 47. So since we're talking about the planes, let's also cover what happened with Mike Pence. I just wanted you to see how this, this great Chicago fire, 108 being significant on the World Series, first game back in Chicago, fires on the runway, airplanes. So anyway, the day before that, October 27th, late in the evening, Mike Pence's plane supposedly skidded off the runway. This was a date with 73 numerology, Hillary Clinton 73. This happened at LaGuardia in New York. Day after Hillary's birthday. It happened on the Jesuit order's birthday. October 27th is that's September 27th. Remember, I do all my videos off the top of my head. I don't make many mistakes. I almost made one there, though. Jesuit order, September 27th. So anyway, this happened at LaGuardia. I documented how LaGuardia Airport has the same gematria as Chicago. The next day we get an incident at Chicago. But look at this. Mike Pence is born June 7th. Kind of like 67. We just talked about how Federal Express, 67, connecting to Cleveland Indians. Notice that Mike Pence is 57 years old. World Series equals 57, 66, 147. From his last birthday to the date of the World Series, the date of this incident, travel day for the World Series during the time of the World Series, from his birthday to this incident, 142 days. When you write out 42 as a word, it sums to 142. NYC, this was New York City, equals 42. Freemason, 42. No doubt Mike Pence is a Freemason like most of our politicians are. From the incident to his upcoming birthday is 223 days. Masonic in Jewish gematria equals 223. The synagogue of Satan, the name given to the false Jews, the Zionist Jews, 223. Who control our government, media, sports leagues, who control these companies, who set fire to planes as rituals. Curse of the Billy Goat also equals 223. Curse the Cubs are under. The motto from that is, we got Detroit's goat, 223. Remember, Kyle Schwarber just came back for the Cubs, supposedly 6 months after fully tearing his ACL. He has the Billy Goat's gruff on his chin. His full name equals 223. 223 days before his birthday. What are the odds? Also, all of these incidents coming on a runway. Runway. Gematria of 102. United States of America, 102. Hillary Clinton, born on a date with 102 numerology. She announced her campaign April 12th, 2015. That's the 102nd day of the year. The name Clinton equals 33. On the 33rd day of the year this year, February 2nd, they had this story about this woman who'd been campaigning for Hillary at age 102 since she announced. Comedy piece. This is all scripted. This is all a puppet show. The Civil War began on the 102nd day of the year. United States of America, 102. Slavery, 102. Lincoln was assassinated on a date with 102 numerology. Hillary born in Illinois. Illinois, the land of Lincoln. Civil War. We're going through this very divisive period of time. LaGuardia Airport has the gematria of 81 like Chicago and Jewish gematria. And here's what else I want to say about this. When I first heard about this story, I turned on the news. I came home from where I was. I turned on the TV. It was sitting on CNN. I'm always decoding the CNN propaganda. And when I turned it on, what they were showing was the inside of an empty airplane. And it was somebody recording and walking back and forth down the aisles with kind of like a bounce to the camera, kind of like a movie action cam. And there was a narration saying what it was like being on the plane as it went off the track. They were telling how it was a scary moment. You know, there was a panic. Well, while they were showing all that footage, what I was asking myself is, why don't they just show the footage of the plane going off the runway, skidding off? You know, there's cameras everywhere at this day and age. This is an airport. There's cameras all over airports. Why isn't there camera footage of this plane going off the tracks? Why didn't they show us that? They showed us this still image of it driving off the tracks. I have no doubt that they did that. But why don't we have this side of it skidding off the tracks, you know? Why didn't they show us skidding off the tracks instead of telling us about it? And the reason that is so is because our news, it's called programming. And when they tell us these stories, they're programming us to, again, just believe the narrative as we're told. We don't even need to see the video evidence of what they're saying happened. We're just listening to somebody tell us what happened with a camera showing us some action sequence on the empty plane. And if you pay attention to the news, this is what it mostly is. Somebody telling you what happened without any video evidence of that happening. Programming. Teaching you to accept lies as they're told to you. And all of these stories are lies. The FedEx fire, the O'Hare fire, Mike Pence off the track, the Great Chicago fire, this rigged World Series. Isn't it amazing? This is really what's been going on. And like I said, it's been this way since the beginning of this nation because the Freemasons have scripted an agenda for us. Freemasons have been running this nation since the beginning. They do everything by the numbers, create their history by the numbers, report their history by the numbers. I mean, did this really burn 3.3 square miles? Is that true? Starting behind 137, the 33rd prime number. And for anyone who wants to know how to get these prime numbers, go to numberempire.com. You know, it's your best friend. Numberempire.com. You punch in a number and it gives you a bunch of important information about it. 137, the 33rd prime. Washington, D.C. equals 137. Authority 137, 137 the 33rd, or 137 the 33rd primes, federal 33, Clinton 33, all of this stuff tied to Hillary Clinton running for president. So there it is, Truth Seeker. Until next time.